And Jack Higgins, Jack is on the phone. He's from right here where I am, but he looks like an early
Where are
riser.
you? Where are
I,
you?
I'm south of San Francisco,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
then Jack, who is also on the phone, is south of San Francisco. There's Jack. He's the
Hi.
be all do all. And on my screen, I want Jack, I want you to meet Isaac, who is well, he's right next to you on my screen, but Isaac is in the Naku Valley refugee settlement that I spoke with you about. And at some point, Jack, I would like you to talk with Isaac about what maybe we can do in the refugee settlement with telehealth. Dr. Jack Higgins is the person I mentioned to you that he is starting a telehealth service around the world. I think you need to, how many prizes do you win on a regular basis for being like the most productive Rotarian on earth?
Not many prizes. And by the way, I'm not an early riser. This is a very much a shock to me to get up at 6:30 a.m. I was always working until midnight or 1 a.m. So getting up this early is disastrous.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that Isaac gets a chance to put a face to a name that I've been talking about. And
It's
then
great to
there's
meet
one,
you.
I just got to keep, so Ulrico should be, here's the one to admit. I just have to pay attention to that, and that's a new one for me. Devyani is on the phone. If you want to, and Anna Marie. There you are. She's our resident Italian.
Sorry to be late.
Oh, you're a teacher and you're not supposed to be late, so. I remember you. And she is in Italy and
Yes. I am in Milan, and the weather is like in Florida, let's say. It's humid, it's raining, it's sunny. I've been living in Florida. It's like, now Milan is like this, a lot of humidity and okay, but we live here.
well, at least you're not in the East Coast where you're under the heat dome. In a meeting I had yesterday with somebody who was under the heat dome and barely had electricity, but her whole house was out and she had to take her kids down to a swimming hole, and that's where she was. We had our meeting with her sitting next to the swimming hole because her house was just sweltering. So yeah, it is life. Natalia, you are back. Lovely to see you back. And hi.
Lovely to see you too. Hi. Hi everyone.
Tell me where you are again.
Yes, so I'm in Indonesia, in a city called Yogyakarta.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were on the call last month, and you were one of the people that, yes, I wanted to make sure we brought back some information for you. That's why
nice.
I asked Nina to come, and there was another young man who was also on that call, and yeah. So, and Devyani, have you been on before? Welcome.
Hello, namaste everyone. It's
Namaste.
me, Devyani. I'm from Nepal.
Have you been on before?
Yes.
Yes, I thought you had, because it's a unique name. So I'm not going to remember everybody's name and where they're from, but you know, I get a sense of things. So namaste. I think I told you I was in Nepal 40 years ago. So
Yeah.
the brave young girl who hiked the Himalayas, you know, back when you carried your own backpack and did it the rough way, but it was a great experience. Well, I think it's 10 after, and I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So I think most of you know my spiel, and that is, you know, the plastics is a global issue, and I am the chair of the Plastic Solutions Task Force for SRAG, which is Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group. It's a new focus or recent focus of Rotary International. And in particular, my job is supposed to be about finding projects and solutions. But when it comes to plastic, solutions are humongous, and you have to educate people who are doing creating the problems or being part of the problem, as I say. And then we have to clean up, but we have to stop things at the source too. So there's a lot to do and identify, and it's multi-pronged. So I'm excited. I've gotten some new members coming into the leadership of it very soon. And you know, Isaac and I have been working on a project there in Naki Valley, which I hope at some point will finally come together. But plastics is an interesting thing. You can try to melt it down, but you can only do it in a pure form if you want to reuse it. Or you can throw it all in a big batch and you can make it into these boards, but then we worry about emissions that come out of those boards, especially in heated environments like what Isaac has in Uganda. So there's a lot to learn. And I'm like, okay, well, these boards are cool, but you're not throwing them up in a schoolhouse or a library because we don't know yet what the emissions coming off of these boards are. So until you tell me that 10 years from now, I'm not going to hate myself for supporting this because they made kids sick, we need to, that's not what I want to make with this plastic that we hope to be reusing by collecting and melting and all that stuff, but I want to make sure we do it right. So I've been learning a lot through these projects that I've been learning about. I'm also going to try to start a WhatsApp group, and to anyone here who was here last month, I apologize, I have not done that yet. Because there's some things I want to clean out of it. There's some people that in there that post stuff that I don't, it's not geared towards plastics. And so I want it to very much be geared towards plastic. SRAG has chapters all over the world. So therefore people tend to cross post on everything, but you don't need to know about a growing of a tree in Kenya or there's different projects that's like, no, let's try to keep this interwoven, although plastics is so interwoven with poverty and water sanitation and all that stuff. So, you know, I just got to figure out how to monitor that and the time to do it. So last time we had, Nina came onto the call, the very first call and of Plastic Cafe that when we started it 3 months ago. And I was like, well, I need to get her back to talk to us. And I think what I'll let you do, Nina, is just start off with talking about where you moved to Indonesia. You're from the Netherlands, is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And then how did you get involved in actually starting the Indonesian waste platform? Because I'm sure that was a monumental task and you must have been up against a whole lot of headwinds to get anything done. So maybe you can just start there, and I'm sure I know I have questions, and then others might join in and have questions.
Okay, so I have 6 slides or so, but I'll first talk about the history. So I used to own a company. We produced furniture and lamps and decoration in China and Indonesia, a wholesale company. So actually my background is doing business. And then we did trade shows across the globe, and we used so much packaging, and we were shipping containers from here to there. We also did trade shows in High Point and in Paris and across the globe. And about in 2008, I just totally was fed up with the unsustainability of it. And then I decided I wanted to do something for sustainable development. So I went to Bali in 2010 with the idea, okay, can I live there and do some volunteer work? And then I thought, well, Bali is so already broken and full, and so many people are doing stuff there. And then somebody said, why don't you go to Flores? And I had never heard of the place. And we Googled it, and then we saw National Geographic that the Komodo is in Flores. You know, this big lizard. It's like a sort of, what is it? Icon of Indonesia, the Komodo dragon.
Yeah.
So we went, and so that was 2010, and in 2010 it was like almost nobody went there. So 15,000 tourists per year, and it's actually a huge island. And so I just started from there volunteering for a man who was already doing something for plastic cleanups. And I started networking for him and trying to find out who else is doing work on plastic litter, approaching Coca-Cola and all sorts of companies and NGOs, local grassroots. And then I found out that at that time, people were really working in silos. I mean, still a lot, but at that time, totally. So I decided to set up a network organization, and it was called Ecoflores. But the focus was not only on plastic, but also on agriculture, poverty, health, like HIV and AIDS, and all aspects, basically all SDGs. But then waste started to take over all my time. And then in 2015, I followed the massive open online course on marine litter, which is now actually revived, and I can recommend that. And then
What was the name of that? What was the name of this course?
yeah, it's from UNEP and the Open University in the Netherlands, and it's called Marine Litter. If you Google MOOC, MOOC, Marine Litter, UNEP, then you'll find it. And anybody can join for free, and you can also get a certificate, then you have to pay something. But in any case, I did the expert track of that course, and that included writing a thesis, and you had to write your paper with other members, other participants. So we did, and the title of our publication was the point of marine litter networks, networking. And with part of those people, we actually, so at that point, I founded Indonesian Waste Platform, which was already actually a big network. And in 2018, I co-founded with the co-writers of that paper, the International Waste Platform. We did that in San Diego. There was a big marine conference there. And since then, that network kept growing. So we now have members, I think, in 36 countries. And that brings me to the point that everybody comes from a different situation. So whether you work like Natalia works in Yogyakarta, where I did my Bahasa Indonesia course, Natalia. That's where I learned to speak the Indonesian language in that city. But whether you in Indonesia, for example, whether you come from a city on Java makes a big difference, or is very different from any other place in Indonesia where you are in a remoter region, especially regarding plastic, because all recycling factories are based on Java and a little bit on Batam, an island next to Singapore. But in the rest of Indonesian islands, there are 17,000 plus islands in Indonesia, some really tiny, but some really big. In all these other islands, there is no recycling factory. That means if you are in a remote region where we are, in the east of Indonesia, we have to collect locally, and then we have to send the recyclables to Java by truck or by container, but it has to go on a boat. And then it's, maybe 2 days travel to reach Surabaya. That's a big harbor town in Java. And from there, it has to be trucked again to a recycling factory. And many people don't know, but on Java, there are really state-of-the-art high-tech recycling factories, mechanical recycling. So they can recycle PET and HDPE and PP, different types of plastic. But one of the biggest problems in Indonesia are the flexible packaging, the sachets and the pouches. I don't know if they sell them in America, but I took a sample here from a shop here even. So these flexible packagings, nobody can recycle this. I mean, there are developments for chemical recycling, but that's just not up to scale anywhere in the world. So that's no help at all. But in the meantime, so this is quite a big package. But in Indonesia, many people have no money to buy even this package. I mean, their household spending, how you say, system is not based on buying stock, like a week stock in one package. They buy these small sachets. And these sachets were developed in India, I think in the 70s or so, by Unilever. They were developed especially for day workers, because those day workers, they were paid per day, and with that small money they earned, they could buy a small package of toothpaste, so they could at least brush their teeth, right? And that's how these sachets came into the world. And in Indonesia, the whole country, wherever you are, it's totally littered with that stuff. The small ones, but also these bigger ones, because nobody will, I mean, it can't be processed. And so this results in wide scale burning. Where I live and in many other places in Indonesia, Natalia can confirm that, it's a women's task to do the household, and they one part of their daily task is to burn the plastic in front of their house. So when often early in the morning or at the end of the day, you see piles of burning stuff, leaves, but also plastic, so it's like mixed waste is being burned. So that's really terrible, because that gives soot, which is very potent, what is how you say, aerosol, which aggravates climate change. And it releases lots of chemicals, because when you walk past these houses and you smell the fumes, it's just totally toxic. Dioxin and I don't know how many other toxic chemicals come out of this burning. So it's harming women and children, etc. So what we do is explain in. No, I have to go back a little bit. So besides networking and sharing knowledge in Indonesian Waste Platform and connecting people, etc., we decided to do in the east of Indonesia, to set up a collection system to show that you can do that. Because after Jenna Jambek published her big report in 2015 about the state of marine litter, where China was the biggest polluter, and the second was Indonesia, and then Philippines, and then Vietnam, and then the rest of the world. So after that publication came out, the whole world woke up, and then so many foreign organizations jumped on Indonesia, because of course they couldn't go into China, because China doesn't allow that kind of interference. So many organizations from Scandinavian countries, everywhere, from the USA, from Norway, Denmark, Sweden, the Netherlands, all these countries came with organizations to help Indonesia solve their waste problem. But they were all focusing always on Jakarta or where, you know, some other towns on Java or Bali, but not outside that. So so mainly urban waste, but not rural situations. So that's when we decided, okay, we'll set something up in a rural area, very far away from the recycling factories, to show what you can do and what are the limitations. And so the biggest limitation is that this stuff is not recyclable. And then, so what we do in practice is the local regent gave us a small piece of land. There we made a sorting center. So we go out by boat to outlying islands in the national park. And with the local communities there, fishing communities, we collect. So we, together with those communities, we clean up the beaches, and we taught all the women how to segregate their waste at household level. And we told them we would pay them per kilo. So in practice, every week the boat goes to various island communities, and they come with their bags full of PET bottles or carton and cans, because again, this can't be recycled. So they keep the recyclables in separate bags and the non-recyclables in other bags. And we also take them away, because otherwise they either burn it or throw it directly in the sea, because they live on the sea, basically, in houses on stilts next to the sea. And so the stuff we cannot recycle, we send to the landfill outside the town, which is horrible, because there it stays leaching and exposed to the sun, and leaching, it stays there. And but at least it doesn't go directly into the sea, or it's not burned. And the recyclables we sort in our sorting center. And so we prepare, we sort it, we bale it, we weigh it, and then when our warehouse is full, we ship it to Java, to the recycling factory. So we have no middleman. We ship it directly to the big recycling factory. And that's one, what is it? Challenge that throughout Indonesia and all other Asian countries and African countries, people are cleaning up, but many people don't know where to find these recycling factories, and they don't have the money to pay for all this work. So actually, it just costs money, because, you know, here in Holland, we have our municipal waste management company picks up our waste, and they pick up our plastic for free, and our carton for free, and our greens for free. And the residue we have to drop, and you have to, you know, put it, we have drop-off points, and you pay per time you put a bag in there. It's like an underground container. And it opens with a PIN pass, all automatic. But in all these other countries, there is no such service. You know, in the town, there in probably Natalia in Jogja has trucks coming by houses to pick up waste. But in the rest of Indonesia, outside all these big towns, there is no such thing. So you have to organize it yourself, basically. Yeah, that's it. And but yeah, one of my friends is actually the head of the Indonesian Plastics Recycling Association. She's now here in Amsterdam because there's a big recycling show going on, international recycling trade show. And I just met her on Monday evening to eat. And I again asked her, okay, do you think there will ever be a recycling factory on our island, in Flores, in the east of Indonesia? She said, no, never. Because the point is, these factories are, you know, they cost millions to put. big, huge investments, and they have to run 24/7 all year round. And so they need a constant feedstock of plastic, either PET, or another factory does HDPE, or another does PP. But they need to be economically viable, they need a constant flow of plastics coming in. But for example, on Flores, that's then just one island in Indonesia, we have 1.8 million people, excluding the tourists, which are now coming in big numbers. But those 1.8 million people are spread over 8 like really small towns, the heads of 8 districts on the island. And the rest are mainly subsistence farmers and fishermen. So, you know, around the island in the coastal villages is fishermen, and inland is the farming community. There's mountains and coffee and cacao, and, you know, it's a very fertile island, many different crops. But those people all generate plastic, but many villages are only reachable by motorbike, you know, for example, or by foot, because the infrastructure is so undeveloped. But all these villages generate plastic, so the plastic products do get there in their distribution systems, but nobody takes them out. And you know, some places you need to travel 2 hours to reach it. You know, it's just not feasible to get this plastic back to where you can ship it from. So, and it's never enough to run a profitable recycling factory on that particular island. That's the point she again made. And that's how you say exemplary or for many places in Indonesia, because it's such a big country. You need 8 hours to have a flight from the west to the east of Indonesia. It's so big, and then it's all islands. So it's a huge challenge for Indonesia to solve the waste problem, but that's the same in the Philippines. It's also archipelago, how you say, many islands country, but also Vietnam, but also Africa. You know, any country in Africa and Asia is problematic because of yeah, it's just too much plastic. So our hope is on the plastic treaty, which is now in the making. So the 5th and final meeting, although we hope it's not the final meeting, is in November in Busan in South Korea. The previous one was in Ottawa, and the one before that was in Kenya, in Nairobi. So all government delegations, it's headed by UNEP, because the global leaders agree that they have to do something about this plastic problem, but the solutions, according to the scientists and the environmental groups, is upstream measures: close the tap on plastic, stop the production of anything we don't need. And of course, we won't do without plastic, because, you know, my mobile is from plastic, your car, motorbikes are from plastic, your cables in your computer, everything is plastic in your house, your fridge, everything. But this packaging, we have to get rid of anything we can, and single-use items like cutlery and whatever, you know, which is now, it's been normalized since the 60s or 70s to throw away all your stuff, but that's normal is over, right? And one really terrible thing, because part of the stakeholders totally agree, and it's, you know, it's just the only way is to close the tap on plastic production. But the petrochemical sector isn't happy, of course, and the packaging sector related to the petrochemical, of course, that doesn't make them happy, because they are stuck with all these fossil fuels and there's decarbonization, you know, we want to run electric cars and so on, and solar panels and I don't know what. So we want to get rid of oil and gas. So they're stuck with all this oil and gas, and petroleum is the basis for plastics, for pesticides, for pharma, and for tobacco. Cigarettes are with, those products all come from one big family of producers. And those lobbyists are present at these meetings with UNEP. And so there are many people, you know, really publishing a lot about that, because the last meeting there were more lobbyists from petrochemical sector than scientists and environmental groups altogether. So that's wrong, you know, but we know this. But there are luckily some countries which just won't accept the fact that we won't close the tap, you know. But one really big example, this is what we do with International Waste Platform. You see this bag, can you see it, or I
Yes.
don't know. Yeah. So this stands tall in a supermarket shelf. It's candy. I don't eat it. I just bought it to test the packaging. And this testing we now do with all our members in International Waste Platform, because we're looking at non-functional slack fill, the empty space inside the packaging. I tested here 5 things I found here in the Dutch supermarket. They're half empty without any technical reason, pure for marketing. So this means that half of this material shouldn't be here. It should never have been produced. And on top of that, it's not even recyclable. So this is a big wrong. And so with these members in these different countries, in Australia, in Spain, you know, many different countries, we are now all testing. We all run to the supermarket, take packagings from, buy some stuff, test, you know, we have a protocol with an Australian university, and we'll write a paper about that, because this is also has to stop, you know. This is very unethical but it's done because, you know, this is, I don't know who made this stuff, but their competitor doesn't want to stand next to this package on the shelf with a smaller packaging, you know. So when you look in the supermarket, you look at the shelf height and you see all these packagings, all the same height, and neatly filling the space of these shelves and half empty. And so some of that has empty space for a technical reason, because it has to be sealed, and for example, it's filled with some stuff which needs to settle. So when it's filled in the packaging, it's bigger, and then it's settled. So some stuff needs to be in a bigger packaging, and then it looks empty later, but that's for a technical reason. But if it's done for marketing, it's very unethical. And in the USA, I think till recently was the only country which had some regulations about this, but that was not for environment, that was for medicine. So of course, when you have a medicine box with small pills, they are often in a bigger packaging, because otherwise you can't write all the stuff on it which is required by law, you know, all the ingredients and the expiry date, etc. So only pharmaceutical companies were allowed to, you know, make exceptions in their packaging. But so, yeah, but so we are in Indonesia and in many, around the world, because here in Holland, this is also going to the incinerator, which means you can make one-time energy from it. And then after that, you need to produce new bags, right? So this is not so good, yeah. But so I can quickly show what we do in the East, if you like.
Please.
Okay.
I'm sure there will be questions too. I already have like a bunch, so
Yeah.
we'll
Uh,
save it. Yeah, I love what you're saying. Please keep going.
Yeah. I don't know. I have to share my screen then. I don't know. Can I share my screen?
I don't know how to help
Oh,
you.
yeah, I
do that.
can. Yeah, I can. It says share. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I just have a few slides to show. Can you see it?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Wait, I'll put this on the side. Yeah. So we have a slogan. It's called Bersama Kita Bersihkan Tanah Air. Natalia will know what it means. Together we clean the nation, which means you have to do it with a cross-sector collaboration with recyclers, educators, any sector, producers, etc. And in our case, we are a tourist destination, so we aim to be a zero waste destination. Where we work, it's one of the 10 new Balis in Indonesia. Yeah. So we do different stuff. We do for education, for example, citizen science, monitoring via a protocol, and then we include local community members from local organizations, how to monitor beach litter, how to count, etc. And we work together with a Korean university who process our data. And based on what we find, we make campaigns. So for example, what we find a lot is fishermen using ice on their small boats. And when the ice is melted, they just chuck this plastic bag in the sea. And so we, based on all these ice bags we found, we made a campaign to make them aware that they shouldn't throw it in the sea. Then we're now almost opening a learning center. So in front of our sorting center, the region gave us another building, an old building, and we're now renovating that, and we will use that to give workshops to anybody who wants to learn about waste management. And that's why I'm going now. We open it in July. And then you mentioned you want to focus on plastic, but we can't because one of the problems is contamination. So and in Indonesia, actually about 70% of the waste which is going to landfill is organic, which contaminates the recyclables as well. So we teach communities to segregate the waste so that it's not contaminated. But we also try to find solutions for the organic waste, because if that goes to the landfill, it emits methane, which is terrible for the climate. So we facilitated, we facilitate collection from the hotels. There's not many big hotels now, like the Hyatt and the what is it, the Marriott. They're all now building there. So we collect their food waste and we give it to a women group who breeds pigs. So it's women empowerment and a solution for the organic waste. So that involves a lot of talking to all these hotels, etc., to organize that, to get that going. And then so we are near the sea, so maybe this is not interesting for other people, but one big problem is, so there's an international law and it's called MARPOL. It's the International Marine Policy. And so in that law, there is one annex, Annex 5, which regulates ships not to throw waste in the sea. So on the high sea, on the commons, nobody checks this, of course. So ships are dumping nonstop all sorts of stuff. But one problem is that in harbors, there are no waste management facilities to receive the materials. So this is what we did, because in Labuan Bajo, where we work, there are so many marine vessels for tourism, but also the big ferry coming in, you know, almost every day. So we now offer that ships captains can call us, and then we teach them how to sort their waste on board, also not mix it, and then we pick it up and we process it in our sorting center. So they don't need to dump it at sea, you know. And then another, what is this? Yeah, also, so we offer to hotels that we take their waste, which is recyclable, to process it. Here you see our truck. We have a small truck. It was given to us by the Swedish government. And this is our sorting center. So that's one activity, because so many hotels generate also so much more waste, and the households, of course. And then, yeah, this is again focusing on reduction. So this picture, can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is the ones I showed you before, what I had in my hands here. Are all these sachets. This is a collection of maybe half an hour cleanup in front of my house. All sorts of brands, and these are all this same material, this flexible stuff, and it all ends up, what I said, either burnt or littered in the sea or in the landfill. And so what we did is a pilot for refilling, so people wouldn't need to buy this, but they could get this product from a container. Here you see a container. But that's not scaled up because the companies like Unilever and Procter and Gamble and so on, they just don't want to really collaborate, because this could, you know, this could be done. This should be scaled up. It will in the future, but so that's still future. And then, yeah, another initiative what people can do in remote regions is provide water filters to schools. Water dispenser, so the kids can bring their own bottle and refill from yeah, these are how you call it, local produced on Java. You can throw water from the tap and it comes out clean, or you can buy you know, water in big gallons and put it in a dispenser, so you avoid all these small cups and water bottles. And then the last is glass, because nobody really bothers about glass, but the landfill is quickly full if you send all the glass there, and there's no glass recycling in Indonesia besides one beer brand, Beer Bintang. And all the other glass goes, yeah, to landfills, and so we repurpose it. So we use it to build walls, so you save cement, and then we make drinking glass. One brand owner of glass gave us the materials to make, like this stuff on this photo, to make drinking glasses or bowls from the bottles. And we have a glass crushing machine. We bought it in New Zealand. So we can throw in glass at the top and it comes out as sand at the bottom, which then also can be used to mix with cement, because then you also reduce natural sand depletion, because glass is sand. Yeah, so that's important for us, because there's so much glass there coming from the hotels and so on, and it used to go all to the landfill. Yeah. So these are just some examples what you can do in a remote area with materials. And now we're because you started talking about like wall panels or whatever. Yeah, we are now thinking to buy a small thing. It's like 23 kilo or so, and you can make floor tiles of it or wall tiles. But it's the same worry, will it emit fumes? But it will emit fumes the way it is anyway. wait, I'll stop sharing my screen, stop share. It will emit wherever it goes, this stuff, because it either emits in the landfill or it emits when people burn it, or it will hopefully not, but emit when it's in a wall panel. Yeah, so we don't know, but better than going, burn it. Yeah.
Well, that's, I took 1,000 notes here. I could monopolize on, questions, but I won't. I'll save myself. I'll let other people, if you have questions, chime in, raise hands.
Yeah, can I add one more thing which is really important? That's the extended producer responsibility law. Yeah, so that is in Indonesia, but it's not implemented. But in any country where there is such a law, you can call any company and ask their support because they are obliged to give it. In Indonesia, that's about changing their packaging, supporting collection and storage and education. So we can call a company and ask them for funding to support some specific project. But Isaac here, we communicated after the last time when I joined, we communicated a bit about, of course, where he is, there is no ESR or yeah, extended producer responsibility, but there are companies who do have so maybe CSR, corporate social responsibility. So I advised Isaac, who is stuck with I don't know how many Coca-Cola bottles lying around, and he could have some equipment to process these bottles to create some, things people could use and create jobs that way. So Isaac approached Coca-Cola. I told him, call Coca-Cola in Kinshasa or wherever, but they just refused. This is how these corporates act. But so basically wherever you are, just take the phone and call them, and to appeal on their responsibility. Yeah, you have to be an activist.
I think those of us who, are like you, like-minded, it's just a matter of how much time and energy can you have.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that you are doing is just absolutely inspiring, and I love the knowledge and how you share it. I am curious, do you make a profit in all these
No,
things you're
no.
doing? How are you funded?
It's very simple. Organizations like ours, and that's the big wrong in the development world. We can't be a business model, impossible, and that's where everything goes wrong, because how should we make a profit? Because the material is worthless. The material is so low value with all the costs added, like transport, etc. So we, like our organization in East Indonesia, can never be profitable. We just always need donations because, the incentive for the communities that we pay them per kilo, because otherwise people just don't see the point to give their materials. And then we have 3 ladies who do part-time job because we don't want to, where we are, the whole household is a women's job. So these ladies are already very busy cleaning their house, washing their kids, cooking, shopping. So in their free time, they work in our place, and we pay their minimum wages, their insurance, their pension, because you have to, first of all, work according to the law and be professional. You can't, like how you say, misuse people. So the women only work in their spare time. We don't overburden them because they have their other duties, right? So they earn some extra salary from sorting our stuff, but in the end, the value is not enough to cover all the costs. So we are funded by a German foundation. Simple. We don't make any profit. We only cost. We cost about 4,500 euro per month average. With the boat hire to go to all these islands to pick it up, the petrol for the truck, the salaries, the electricity in the sorting center, because we have a big machine to press the materials. And actually that's also donated, that machine. The truck was donated. The truck has to be maintained. The other day we had to give new tires to the truck. It just costs, and it can never be feasible, profitable business. Never, never. It just waste costs, and that's what people just simply don't understand. It's just costs. It's a cost of it's a cost of our lifestyle, and either nature is the how you say is the victim if you don't do anything, and with that also our health and the climate, or because we pay here, and in Jogja I think you also pay a monthly fee for your waste to be picked up. I think that was Jogja, and it was actually, or it was Surabaya, quite similar to here. I was surprised because here the salaries are much higher than in Indonesia, but it was actually, I thought, wow, they pay a lot for their waste. But where we work, people are living on or under the poverty line. A subsistence farmer grows his own vegetables, and if they're lucky, they can sell some of their crop. But people there, don't even sometimes have shoes to buy for their kids, so their kids can't go to school. People have no clue. And also, Indonesia is not one. I mean, of course, it's one country, but there's different cultures, different beliefs, different social structures. Every place is different. So, for example, what we have established in Labuan Bajo, all these aspects people can do somewhere else, but adapt it to their local network with the local strong community leaders who have good ties to the local government, with the local government who supports them to give them some land to use. It's so complicated, but it always will cost, and that's why we have to reduce, because it's just a big burden. Yeah, and here, even in Holland, globally only 9% of stuff gets recycled, they say, yeah, but of plastics. But here in Holland, it's not much better, And from Olderico, from Rome, we receive their waste by train to go in the Amsterdam incinerator. It's crazy. It's
Yes,
all.
I think the whole issue, we started the conversation before people came on with the whole issue of waste management. It's a very dark, interesting.
Yeah.
And I just sent an email yesterday to a man who is very on top of the Basel Convention, and I want to hear hopefully from him this side of the waste, the exporting and the importing of waste. But I know we're getting to the top of the hour, and I wanted to get to Natalia has a question, and then to see if anybody else has questions as well. So Natalia, maybe you can pop in here with your question.
Yes, thank you. I also want to say that, I admire Nina for her courageousness, because I live in the city of Indonesia, one of the biggest cities in Indonesia, and it's still very challenging. And I just cannot imagine how it is in Flores, where she lives and where she established this project. Because even here, where people have access to information and people have so-called good school in Indonesia, the awareness is still very little. So people still do those things like what Nina was saying. Here there is a system, a waste collection system, but still it is not enough because people misuse it. And actually, that's probably worse because people then take it for granted and they don't think anymore. They just use the service. They don't want to reduce their waste. So yeah, that's a big challenge for sure. And what I want to add is, yeah, that can be one way of trying to reduce the amount of waste locally is to produce valuable products from the waste locally. So like the product that I'm developing here, this is yeah, a toilet bag or a makeup bag made of plastic bags that are being crocheted. So you don't really see that it's from waste. It's
Yeah, I
kind
can
of
see. Yeah, nice.
yeah. Thank you. So the aim is to create cool products from waste and that people can do locally. And
Yeah.
this is very manual because I just use a crochet hook, just this tool,
Yeah.
and you can do, yeah, again, you can have people, yeah, mostly women who are doing this. So yeah, then again, you can add the issue of women empowerment into this, and then to make your case even stronger, and you also empower the local communities to not only trying to reduce their waste, but also being creatively involved, and yeah, also they can earn, because
Yeah,
if
true.
you just if you just rely entirely on donation, then the question is, will it sustain if you, I mean,
No.
the donation, yeah. So
Oh.
what I think is these projects have to fund itself. That's what I think. So if you can market this very well, it can be high valued, it can be collector's items or things like that. I mean, this is just a very simple design. I have many designs. I have also many ideas to deal with residual plastics and residual waste. I'm just starting, so I don't have any. I don't have many network yet. I don't know how to market this very well, so I'm still trying. I'm still establishing this project myself, but the idea is there, that these projects have to sustain itself. It has to earn by itself, so it can sustain.
True,
Mhm.
true. With this, you can create alternative income, but in our
Mhm.
place, it's impossible to with that cover all the costs. But that's true.
Mhm.
You know, yeah. If you maybe Tami can, I don't know. There's a lady in Jakarta who is so creative. She also has lots of ideas. Maybe you know her, Ibu Yeni. You know her by
No,
Oh,
not
she
really.
really
From
made
what organization or
her
from?
own, her own. She makes whole Christmas
Ah,
trees from plastic, and I don't know what. She's so creative. Yeah. So maybe you can
okay,
find her on Facebook. Yeah.
okay,
But otherwise, maybe Tami can
sure.
connect.
Yeah, I would love to connect.
Yeah, because yeah, she's really so creative. Maybe you can work
Mhm.
together with ideas and so on. Yeah.
Well,
Mhm. Yeah,
I
that
think
would be
that
cool.
these are kind of connections that would be great.
Yeah.
You know, the story that's weaving through everything that everybody that I talk to, be it Bangladesh or Isaac in Uganda, and here, obviously, a friend of mine just came back from Borneo, said the same thing. There's these communities that are, you know, they're out in the, whether they are out in the middle of open land and far away from cities, or they are island situations. they don't have the facilities to deal with this stuff.
yeah.
And so how do we, it's, you have to come at it in that multi-prong effect, and you're stating what these issues are, but there's no silver bullet. It's gotta come from every direction.
Yeah, one silver bullet is go back in time, and there's now this initiative on Bali where people are just reviving indigenous habits, like old customs, take away food in banana leaves. On Flores, there's a big, culture also about in whole Indonesia about weaving with natural bamboo or whatever.
Right.
How people used to transport anything. And yeah, it's also habit. Like Natalia says, it's very hard to change people's minds. But on our website, we have so many posters with ideas, like how to reduce this, how, it's and that's why I'm so happy they're making this plastic treaty, because in Holland we had and in Indonesia actually too, you had the incentive of paying for your plastic bag. Remember, Natalia? It was a test
Yes,
in
yes,
Indonesia. In Holland,
yes, but it's over.
yeah, it's they stopped doing it. It's a pity, because in Holland it reduced the use of single-use plastic bags for, I think, 80% or more, because we have to pay 50 cents in the supermarket if you forgot your own bag. And actually here, if you don't bring your own like a reusable bag, or like a basket or whatever, or a carton box, you can take anything, then people actually look at you like you're a bit antisocial if you don't take care of the environment. So it's a mindset, but it takes decades, to change the
Yes, yes,
mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have
yes, I
decades, so
believe.
we gotta do something faster.
Yeah, we don't have decades. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I believe there must be multiple solutions, and the plastic treaty would be a big chunk of the solution
Yeah.
if that can go through.
Yeah.
Definitely, closing the tap will be one of the biggest solutions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we all have to be creative. We all have to chip in to
Yeah.
do our part.
True.
So Jack, you have a question?
Yeah, more of a comment. Natalia's approach I assume she's starting a for-profit entity, enterprise, social enterprise, to try to find a way to recycle the plastic, to use it.
Yes.
And in general, I think that's probably the long-term solution. In a perfect world, we would be able to charge the manufacturers and the packaging companies and the other producers for the cost of the waste they produce in order to have a means of getting rid of it again. And that would help to minimize the use in the first place and would provide a solution for getting rid of it eventually. Not perfect, but at least it would be a better way. It ain't going to happen, not for a long time, if ever. And I'm involved in nonprofit myself, four full-time jobs really with nonprofit organizations. But I understand that nonprofits are not sustainable in general. They are dependent on donations. Like Nina's operation, there's no way to sustain that through generating revenues. So how else are you going to do it besides begging for dollars, like I do much of my time, and I'm sure Nina does too. So social enterprises, businesses that can potentially generate a profit eventually, may be a better solution for this, at least in the short term. So I applaud Natalia for her new business, and I hope it's very successful. I want to mention one more thing, which is in the context of helping with social development around the world. We're talking about trying to start a network within Rotary that would provide an outlet for goods, products, and produce, for that matter, that people produce in various countries around the world. For example, if people can turn their mangoes in Rwanda into chutney or preserves or something, and then bottle it and have a label there, and have the label have a picture of the woman who grew the mangoes, and perhaps a QR code on the label, where you can aim your camera at it and play a little video with a woman explaining how much a difference it's made in her life to be able to sell this product to you. We think that among the 1.4 million Rotarians and the 430,000 members of an organization we work with called the Institute for Electronics Engineers, IEEE, that we could create a market for products like that people are producing around the world, to be higher in cost probably than the average factory produced product made in the US or elsewhere. But it is potentially a market where people might be willing to pay a little bit more, and it could provide them the funding that we need to help people pull themselves out of poverty and to clean up the environment.
Wow. Go Jack, that's our Jack Higgins. Thank you. Anna, you had a question?
It's not a question, it's a consideration. I've been in Bali, and when you are a tourist, you have a different feeling if you compare when you are at home. So I think in the big hotel, in the probably I've been there 10 years ago, so I don't know if you have done already this. In the big hotel, in the airport, in all the place where people can gather with other friends. Why don't you put an invitation to help an association like your Nina? Because you said that you spend money, and people, when he's in vacation, has no problem to give you more dollars or something. So you must take advantage of this situation. When you are relaxed, you enjoy, and you can give some coin, and at the end, you get a lot of them. So this is my simple suggestion. And the other one is in the supermarket. You can give a score if you don't use the plastic bag. If you don't ask, I give you one score, 1 star, what else? And when you reach 10 of these, you can obtain, I don't know, an apple or whatever. In this way, people will try to avoid to use the plastic and to obtain finally, and with the kids, it will work, I'm sure. So these are small suggestions. You are doing a wonderful work. So Natalia too. So my congratulations, and just a 2 big suggestions. Thank you.
Good ideas.
Thank you. Thank you. Isaac, you're here?
Yes, Tammy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I've waited so long to speak. And, good morning and good evening to everyone who is around. So just to circle back on what Nina's been sharing on plastic waste, and they're doing a very good work. It has been like now 2 months since we last chatted with Nina, sharing about our work and our work here in Achivale. So yeah, that's good. And it suggested about reaching out to big companies around and see how we can get support from these local companies and enterprises. And it was a really good approach, though it didn't work the way we expected. So just to talk about the solutions, the plastic solutions in Indonesia that Nina is running. And remember, the one topic is sustainable development goals, meaning we should be developing sustainable solutions. And if not sustainable solutions, then we should go and check back and circle back on different approaches so that we can bring up something that is sustainable. So I would like to know, Nina, do we have these manufacturing companies in Indonesia, or they are international? Because if yes, I think we should go back and talk to them. Can we stop packaging our product let's say with unrecyclable packages, or can we stop recycle like using these packages, or can we help you collecting these packages so that you can recycle them back? So I would like to know, Nina, do we have any like these manufacturing companies, the ones manufacturing or using this sachet in Indonesia?
Yeah. We have in our advisory board the head of the Indonesian Packaging Federation. It's very complicated, Isaac, because you know, you see the what is it, the agenda of these sectors, you know, it's petroleum, from petroleum to petrochemical factories. They make the chemicals which go in the plastics, or they make the plastic packaging themselves. And then you have the brand owners who need that packaging. So it's a big chain of and packaging is marketing, you know. It's the packaging is one of the most important ways to promote your product. So it's very hard to break that cycle. And actually these sectors are constantly lobbying against reduction. This is our battle across the globe, international, because we all say, you know, imagine here in my house, I never need to buy bottled water. I don't want any water in plastic. Here we can drink from the tap. So I just open the tap and fill my glass and drink it. And when I go to that's the infrastructure our government invested in. And still the supermarkets are full of plastic bottled brands. But anyway, it costs, I think, 7 times more expensive or even more than tap water. But anyway, but in Indonesia, for example, and your country, you can't drink from the tap, right? So you're forced to drink from a plastic bottle, right? Or and so it's so complex, because if your country would have money to invest in water infrastructure, potable tap water, then you would have half of the problems. It's so complicated. There are so many aspects to plastic.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they
yes,
don't
Nina.
listen, Isaac.
Yeah.
If we say we don't want this anymore, they just don't listen. But they will after this plastic treaty is done. Then they will be that's a legally binding international treaty. So then companies, then the states can regulate companies based on that. And then we just have to hope that that will at least reduce a lot of the packaging. Yeah. We just have to.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, that's good news. That's already in
That's good.
November,
Yeah,
but yeah.
that's the good news, because I myself in Uganda, we had back then several companies
Yeah.
using unrecyclable packages, but right now they have shifted, seeing that the only one solution that we have in Uganda is to recycle these plastics, whether through recycle, like collecting them back and take them back to the manufacturing company, or having a recycling a place where you can recycle into other important product.
Yeah.
And it's really working. It's what we've been developing with Tammy. We've spent like now almost I think 7th month working on it. How are we going to establish this in a refugee settlement? Remember, this is a refugee settlement. If it's working here in a refugee settlement, why not working in other places? So we are trying to bring in the sustainability aspect of it. How will this project sustain itself? So we are bringing in the business aspect. How are people going to be making money out of this? And it's going well, because we are collaborating with another company, which is Takataka. They have been working in the recycling space for almost 6 years now. and they have developed a model, a business model that's really working. They are making money, they're employing people, and they are scaling. So this is what we are trying to establish, because seeing the plastic problems, plastic cannot be exported, plastic waste I mean, because once exported, it's going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive, seeing the transportation cost, what labor cost. So we want to establish local solutions, and it's what we are trying to do also in Nachivale. And if you're working well in Nachivale, we'll see how to establish it in other places, mostly refugee settlement. And yeah, that's it. Just
But
I wanted to put much focus on the sustainability of the project, mostly of your work, to see that it doesn't bring a lot of load on you. I think where you should be focusing more is on how to raise the awareness of plastic, of the plastic problems in Indonesia, I mean, so that you may reach out to more people than focusing on recycling these plastics. I think recycling should be left to the local people, local actors. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
yeah, that's what's happening. But what do you recycle that plastic in? What's the product, the end
Yeah,
product?
on mind, back then when we started, we had a lot of thing on our mind. We wanted to start doing like recycling them into eco bricks. And
Yeah.
one question that Tammy asked was, are we going to be making good money out of this? Then we had to go back into research. We did a research with the community members. We found out that they really need tiles and jewelry. So it's what we are going to be focusing on. Then while being in the market, I think we are going to develop more other product. Yeah.
So what's coming out of this for me is that this problem, as I said earlier, is replicated all over the world in different ways, and everyone is finding different ways to deal with it. You know, Bangladesh is just dripping in textile waste. It's, you know, there's different faces of the same problem. This overproduction, how do we deal with it? And Nina, as you said earlier, that people are in a subsistence living, and that's pretty much what Isaac is, obviously in a refugee settlement. So it's that fine line of offering just enough to like start the business and be able to find it to be sellable within local areas or something close, hoping that will then scale up to something else. And then that's another piece of machinery. So we're trying to buy machinery from Takataka Plastics that will make some basic things. And once they make the basic things, then we can say, oh, we can buy a new mold. So that will maybe make something different, and we'll try that, or a different dye. And, you know, we have someone on or.
Yeah, and I have to almost go, Tami. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so let me, I am so grateful for your time and everything you've said, and everyone wants to offer up a solution, but what I'm thinking, or something else that I hate when people say, you should do this. It's like, that's the first thing that makes me recoil. It's
Yeah.
like, no, we all need to be doing this, but maybe we can have a follow-up meeting about opportunities to scale and what Isaac and I have learned about this plastic stuff, because it's been an education. It's interesting. It's a chemical education. And maybe we'll know more by that time, but other people are doing it, and it is succeeding. So that's another reason why this forum exists. So let's.
Yeah, about chemicals, one more thing, because maybe people are not so aware that in plastics, I think they've identified 16,000 plus chemicals, of which only 5,000 plus have been thoroughly investigated.
Yeah.
And of those, some are already proven toxic and leaching and present in our packaging. That's also the reality, and leaching in our food and drinks.
Yep.
So the first focus is to get clear about these chemicals, because it's just killing us.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I know you need to go and I want to
to
let you
go.
go.
Do you
and so
mind?
let's
Yeah.
thank her, but
Yeah.
Devyani, hold on, and I wanted, you had a question, and I don't want to, you've been
Oh,
quiet, I want to circle back to you, but we can let Nina go and, Nina, I'll be in touch, and I'm
Yes.
so grateful for you, and we're gonna talk more about this issue of what we can actually do with this plastic and bridge that fine gap between, wait, we're making something nice out of, I only have a bad word in my mouth. Something nice out of something horrible. When do we want to put ourselves out of business so we're not making something nice out of something horrible? We need to stop producing the horrible, but in the meantime, cross the bridge of keeping it out of our environment by making some products with it. It's a fine line. Yeah.
And fingers crossed for November for the treaty. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
I heard the same comment you did, that there were more lobbyists there than scientists, and that the lobbyists were allowed in and in these private meetings, and the scientists were not. And
Yeah.
it's very disappointing.
Disturbing. Yeah, disturbing. But somebody still had a question, or
Devyani, did you have a question, baby? You've been sitting here so quiet the whole time, so I want to make sure we get to Nepal.
Well, I just love.
Nina, good luck and keep
Wait,
going.
wait, Devyani's here. Devyani, you gotta speak up. We can't quite hear you. Are you muted? No. Devyani, are you muted? There you go.
Well, I
Thank you,
just love-
everyone, and good luck, Nina. Keep going. We are with you.
Thanks.
Devyani, try it again, babe. I think you're muted.
Okay, sorry. Overall, I just loved and appreciate, respected Nina's work. Now I'm this 15 years old. I don't know much about plastic pollution, sustainability.
Can you speak up but lean into your camera just a little bit more, or lean into your microphone a little bit more?
Okay, is it okay?
There, that's better.
Okay, I will start. Overall, I just loved and appreciate, respected Nina's work. Now I'm just 15 years old. I don't know much about plastic pollution and sustainability and or anything. I just want to share the major problem of Nepal here. Here in Nepal, local government collect waste from houses, including organic waste, plastics, and which can be recycled. Yeah, they just collect it all and place it in a land. Yeah, making it a big pyramid of waste materials which can be recycled. But there is no proper management of waste here, and they often mix it in water bodies, leading various problems for the local peoples. And another major problem here in Nepal is plastics products are very cheap, but uh, similarly, eco-friendly products are very expensive. The economic condition of Nepals are not so good to buy eco-friendly products, use them. They just rely on plastic products. This is the major problem. We have to play crucial role to stop the production of plastics and pay attention for the production of eco-friendly products. We have to promote the production of eco-friendly products. We have to uh, manage the environment where many creative ideas comes and they thrive there. Yes, that's all I just want to share. And yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my words. Thank you.
Devyani, can you hear me? Oh yeah.
Yes,
Maybe interest. Are you still in school then?
yeah,
Okay.
I read in class 10.
Okay, maybe you can check the internet. There's a really nice school program. It's called Plastic Free Campus. And it's made by Gallifrey Foundation in Switzerland. So it's a plastic-free campus. And just explore it. It's really nice. And maybe you can find a teacher in your school who's also what is it, environmentalist. And then because it's a program which the students do, but the teachers also have to do it because they have to check the tasks the students have to hand in. Yeah, you can just explore it. It's in English and also translated in some other languages, but not Nepalese. Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
yeah, okay. So
Thank you, everyone, and I'll let you
Thank
go.
you.
And Nina
Thank
will, hopefully we'll see you next month at the next Plastic Cafe. I'll line up another one of these kind of conversations. I like that these are more conversational, like that we could just sit here and chat. So thank you. Keep noodling all.
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Namaste.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Jack, I'll see you in a few hours. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I tested positive for COVID, and I'm getting over it now, but I still tested positive this morning. Very weakly,
Oh.
sick, but I need to call it in, I think, today instead of showing up for the meeting.
Okay.
But meanwhile, I wanted to get introduced to Isaac.
Oh,
Isaac,
yes.
Bill-
Isaac, can you maybe come off? Can you come off video first? I mean, what time is it there? Might be nighttime there. I don't know.
It's late already. Yeah, there's darkness, and we don't have electricity currently natively. That's why my video is not.
So Isaac, Jack is the person who I was on the phone with, the woman from REAP, who worked with the other rotor actors there in Naku Valley. So, yeah, Jack wanted to say hi. So Jack, meet Isaac. Isaac, meet Jack.
Let's exchange. Maybe the easiest, Tammy, if you send a note with both of our emails so we can be introduced to each other.
Okay.
And
Because Jack is literally doing like, I don't know how, we need 5 Jacks in the world. And because he's doing so much stuff, but he is very involved in Rotary. And what the Los Altos Rotary just gave you the award for being the most amazing human for the year. And you know, that's what I call those kind of awards. They have names on them, but nobody knows what the names represent. But so
Isaac,
yes.
I'll explain that my main focus is in healthcare and hoping to help out in the Kivali, among other places, with telehealth, so that whatever clinics or hospitals you have available, we can provide free consultations for the nurses and doctors there when they encounter patients with difficult problems that they can't solve by themselves. But I'm also very much committed to working on climate change issues, including plastics, and I hope we can find a way to work together.
Yes, Jack. It's really nice meeting you. Tammy told me a lot about you during our last meeting, and it was really interesting. I requested even to meet with you, so it's really a pleasure meeting with you. So I'm Isaac, and I co-founded one of the nonprofit here around. It's a local nonprofit. We work into empowering refugees and building sustainable environment and communities. So we do when it comes to refugees, we help in development, meaning we provide work and we skill these young people and more other people. And yeah, that's it. And when it comes to community sustainability, we are much focused on environment climate solutions, meaning environment solutions, mostly in plastic recycling, tree planting, and yeah, and clean energy. That's where we are much focused. And in Achivale, we've implemented a number of projects. I think I'll be sharing even with you once we get I get your contact. I'll be sharing with you more information about us, about our work, and seeing that our last year report is out, and I'll be sharing it with you. So and yeah, I think it's a good way to build. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Jack. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you, Isaac. I look forward to hearing, getting that information from you. And then at some point we should get together. Maybe next month we'll be talking probably here with Tammy on the Plastic Cafe. But perhaps there's some other things we can talk about in the meantime too. So send your information. We'll go from there. Thanks.
Yeah, well, so
thank you,
much a
Jack.
part of the cafe has been to introduce people, and I just love that Isaac, you and Nina had connected with each other, and there was a woman in Boston who had done this big piece of artwork with plastic bottles out of hotels. And it's a huge, huge marine animal that's now on display out somewhere on the Boston wharf. But she connected with somebody else who said, you know, if you want to take that on the road, talk to this person to show off how much waste there is from these kinds of things. So people are connecting in different ways. And clearly Nina needs some help down there to get what she's doing. And, you know, it just replicates what Isaac and I've been experiencing. What do you do with this waste? You cannot burn it. And you don't want to put it in landfills because that stuff just all washes away in the monsoons. So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. So let's find the best of what we can do right now and then nurture it in the right direction.
Yeah, that's it, Tammy. I think with Nina, we need to maybe have a couple of chat, because we've been in this for quite a while now. We've learned a lot. Maybe share with her how to sustain these solutions, because we are calling them sustainable development goals. If they are not sustainable, meaning they are not solutions. So we want to see how, I would like Nina to shift on awareness, and leave the recycling part on local actors. How are we empowering these local actors to keep on implementing the solution? I think that's it, and that's what was the discussion here in Achivale. Yeah.
Okay, well, Dr. Jack, thank you for joining us, and Isaac, good to see you as always. That same smile that I'm getting used to. I like seeing you in the daytime though. Anyway, all right, thank you, and on to the next meeting, but thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Isaac. Thank you, Tammy, for putting this together. Bye-bye now.
Yeah, bye-bye.